So congratulations to you all. We had no idea until we arrived, and we had a taxi parked half a kilometer away from the hotel, and we had to carry our luggage because they weren't allowed to drive outside the hotel. So congratulations to you all. Second reason, congratulations, is to all the Real Madrid fans. I don't know, I'm a Liverpool fan, so I'm not having a pretty good day. But put your hands up if you are Real Madrid fans. Over there. Here's some gifts from me to you. Now, I didn't realize today was a competition. So if I have to play the emotional card, if you want to vote for me, think about my kids. They want their dad to be a winner, right? Here's for you. Thank you. I was asked to speak today, and I was honored, and thank you for your invitation. I spoke 3 weeks ago in our offices in Georgia, and lots of people came over, and the organizer of the event came over and asked me to speak today. So again, I'm honored to be here. Let me tell you a little bit of story. The reason I'm on this stage is not because I get fulfillment from standing here, okay? The reason is probably one of the guys that I met earlier on in my life. I'd like to share that story with you. By the way, my life here depends on the translators, and I'm hoping you all speak great English. Because if I crack a joke and you get it 30 seconds later, my joke is ruined, right? So when I crack a joke and I say joke, you all laugh. So I was in a wedding about 20 odd years ago, and I'm a born Muslim, but I don't really have a religion, really. And I was sitting in this Jewish wedding, and I sat next to an old rabbi. And the bride and the bridegroom were sitting at the top table, and their grandparents were wheeled in. They were wheeled in on these wheelchairs, and I was told that they were actually both in hospital, and they had days to live. And everybody stood up, and they got to see their granddaughter getting married. The rabbi knocked me on my leg, and he said, "Can I tell you something?" And I was like, "Oh, go on then." And he said, "I've seen people die in 3 ways." I said, "Okay, tell me." He says, "I've seen a guy or a girl or a lady who's had an amazing life. And they're old, and all the family are around them, and they're ready to go. And all the family wishes them well, and they bid them farewell. And I'm really, really happy for those people." The second one is when they have so much ailments and sicknesses in life, and they're ready to go, they want to go, because life is not that joyful anymore. And when they go, I'm really, really happy for them. So I said, "What's the third?" He goes, "Do you really want to know what's the third way people die?" I said, "Sure, tell me." And he says, "The third way people die is horrible, and I don't wish it on anyone." I said, "Well, what is that?" He goes, "They're old, and they look back at their lives, and they had regrets. And they can never have those time back. And I never wish that on anybody, because it's the most painful death." And I really thought about it, went home, and I thought, I don't want a death like that. As an employee, having to listen to other people that I didn't actually share their values with, does that make me happy? Or do I want to have a joyous life? I take risks, I fall by my sword, I win, I lose, but I'm responsible. And when I'm in that rocking chair, looking back at my life, I'll go, wow, it was pretty good. No regrets. So a little bit about me. This is where I get a bit shy. Right now, I am the luckiest man on the planet. I feel. I have homes in Dubai. I have homes, a beautiful home in Thailand. I can go back and forth from working in Dubai, going to Thailand. I have all the cars you could imagine. And when I was poor, I actually always wanted 1 car a day, because I thought that's a sign of being rich. So now I've got 8 cars, but it's only 7 days to a week. So my wife's on my case about selling my 8th car. But does that really make you happy? And I'm not telling you this. I have my own business. 120 people work for me. I have an office in New York. I have an office in Dubai. We have an office in Tbilisi, and some of my staff are here. And I'm not trying to impress you. But what I want to do is tell you a little bit about me. 8 years ago, I was 44 years of age. 8 years ago, I was 44 years of age. So how old am I today? How old am I today? Who said 52? No, you know how old I am. That's cheating, right? For you, some at the back. Over there. And I'll get to some later. I need audience participation here, guys. Come on. 8 years ago, I lost everything I owned. Everything I owned. I was living in the UK. I was worth around $50 million. We had about 600 staff working for us. And in 1 year, I had a heart attack. I got attacked in my house. I almost went bankrupt. I lost everything in 1 year. And I can't tell you how it actually shapes your life and shapes your destiny. Because when things are going good, you feel invincible. But when things go bad, it wakes you up. It makes you a gladiator. So I decided to quit UK and go to Dubai and start fresh. The question was, when I was invited here, I said, what's the topic of the evening? And he said, the topic of the evening is about winning. So I don't know if you remember the title of my talk is about losing my way to happiness. Because life is tough. Life is tough. Do we win at everything we do? No. Do we lose at everything we do? No. It all depends on our internal dialogue. Now, do you know what an internal dialogue is? We think at 4,000 words per minute. So as I'm talking, the fastest I can talk is 1,000 words per minute. So the other 3,000 words per minute, you're having an internal dialogue with yourselves. Some of you are thinking, I don't like the shine on his head. Some of you are thinking, wow, what a great body. No, I know you're not, okay? But all right, I'll give you some more prizes. That was a joke. Some to the back. So this internal dialogue is going on all the time. This internal dialogue is going on all the time. It's very easy, it's very, very easy to be motivated when the chips are down. You know, in a world boxing championship, the top guy, everybody aims for. But when you're at the top, it's the toughest thing to do to keep your title. So it's easy to get motivated when the chips are down, but it's hardest when the things are going good. So, do we win all the time? I think life's a battle. I think life is hard. It's what you make of it. When I was 4 years of age, my father, I'm Iranian born, and my father passed away when I was 4. I was taken away and given to my grandfather, and my grandfather died when I was 7. So what I noticed is lots of people dying in my life at a very young age. Now, the way I thought about it, somehow my DNA was very optimistic, so I didn't think maybe I was blessed instead of cursed. So I look at it in a positive way, and I realized that life is short. Most people live life like it's going to live forever. 7.5 minutes. Most people live life like they're going to be living forever. Life is really, really short. So what I learned from that experience was put urgency in my life. So when I sit with someone and somebody says, I'll start next week, why not start now? Why not do it now? So that urgency makes things happen for me in a very short period of time. When I sit down in a sales company or in a sales situation, when most salespeople walk away when they give somebody a proposal, I win the order because I walk across the desk. I shake their hands and say, when do you want me to start? Just because I have that urgency. When I was 13, there was the Iranian Revolution. Some of you are too young to remember, but my mother took my sister and I and took us to England. I couldn't speak a word of English. So I had my ass kicked for 2 years at school. I was bullied every single day. Every single day. But you know what? I wasn't going to get defeated. So I took up martial arts. I still had my ass kicked, right? Joke. Right, you have to do it again. I took up martial arts, and I still had my ass kicked. Right, okay. Then I realized to fit in, I had to speak the perfect English. Because again, I stood out. So I really made an effort. I had extra curriculum lessons to make sure that I spoke the perfect English so I didn't stand out in the English marketplace. So the way what we think dictates how we live life. What I say is when you think something, you say it. When you say it, you believe it. When you believe it, you get into a habit of doing it. And when you're doing it, that's your character. And if you're doing what you do, that's your destiny. So be very, very aware of your internal dialogue. Be very aware how you talk to yourself. That's what life taught me. Because some things, some battles seem like really, really tough, but it's how you translate it in your mind. It shapes your destiny. Life is about learning and growing. Here's something interesting. We're the only species on the planet that don't fulfill our true potential. We're the only species on the planet that don't fulfill our true potential. Does that make sense? If you feed a plant, give it enough light, it grows to its full potential. If you feed the dog and look after it, it'll go to its full size. Why is it as humans we don't achieve our full potential? Anyone? More bands? Somebody shout, why don't we achieve our full potential? Because God's given us the power of thought, the power of choice. The plant doesn't have a choice. We as humans have a power of thought. We can decide what our destiny can be like. We can choose our path. But most of us, for whatever reason, as some great speakers before me said, most of us choose not to take that path. Nothing more satisfying than taking action. It's not about being motivated. Being motivated is 85% of what it takes to be successful. But if you don't go out and take action, you're not going to have a happy life. Sometimes, when I had nothing, when I didn't have money to eat at middle age, I went to Dubai. Nobody knew me. I didn't have a record. I didn't have anybody I'd worked with before. I set myself daily goals. Every single day, I set myself daily goals because sometimes your 10-year goal or 5-year goal is too far ahead. So to align my future, every single day, I set daily goals. I went and knocked on doors. I got rejected 100 times a day. I'm dyslexic. But you know what I was doing? I was so desperate to eat, I was writing letters for people, sales letters. But my motivation was to eat. My motivation was to have a drink or pay the rent or pay the rental on my car. But it's easy to get motivated when you have nothing. 3 weeks ago, I stood up in front of 35 people and I charged $20,000 a day and I'm fully booked. I offered in that talk in front of 35, 40 people an hour of my time for free here in Tbilisi. After my talk, everybody got up, shook my hand. I had 2 hours to speak, so they got more of me. And guess what? How many people do you think contacted me offering them 1 hour of my time for free? How many? Zero. Zero people contacted me. All they have to do was pick up the phone and I was there for them. But zero people did. To me, I ask you this question, do they want to succeed badly enough? No, because we can always talk a good talk, but taking action is everything. And it wasn't that painful. In Dubai, millions of people, hundreds of thousands of people are building this amazing city, this incredible city, but most of them lift bricks, go up a 200-story flight of stairs and buildings. That's hard work. All I asked was for someone to pick up the phone and call me, and I was there for them, and not one person called. As well as being the luckiest man on planet, I'm actually the most selfish person on the planet. Because when I stand on stage, my source of happiness is actually contributing, knowing that maybe one or two of you will get inspired enough to make something of your life. And by giving that and getting you guys inspired, I actually get inspired myself. So my purpose in life, my happiness, is to be able to contribute and change most of your, or some of your lives. And it'll be an honor. I have 1.5 minutes, so I'm going to tell you a quick story. It's an old Chinese proverb. There was an old farmer, and he had a horse. And this horse did everything in his farmhouse. And one day, this horse runs off. Next door neighbor runs when he hears this story and says, "Old farmer, this is really bad news. Your horse has run away." He goes, "My horse has run away, but it could be good news or it could be bad news." 4 days later, the horse comes back with another 10 horses. So the farmer, the next door neighbor comes and says, dear farmer, it's really, really good news. Your horse has come back with 10 more. He goes, well, here's a horse for you, but it could be good news or it could be bad news. His son hears that the horses are back, jumps on one of the horses and starts riding it. He falls off a horse and breaks his leg. So the neighbor hears this story, comes and says, I'm so sorry, I heard your son broke his leg and he can't ride a horse anymore. He goes, well, it could be good news or it could be bad news. 2 days later, the Chinese emperor declares war on Japan and asks all the people, all the men of all the families to go and fight for the war against Japan. But the farmer's son couldn't go to the war. Why? Because he had a broken leg. So what happens in our life is the decision and the choices we make. I listened to Steve Jobs' lecture, and he said when you look back at your life, somehow all the dots connect. So whether you're going through good times or bad times, is how your internal dialogue translates it. And make sure all those dots all connect. Thank you very much, Lee, for having me. And if I missed out on any of the bands, come and see me later.